And a man said, "Speak to us of self-knowledge." And he answered, saying, "Your hearts know in silence the secrets of the days and the nights, but your ears thirst for the sound of your heart's knowledge. You would know in words that which you have always known in thought, and you would touch with your fingers the naked body of your dreams. And it is well you should. The hidden wellspring of your soul must needs rise and run murmuring to the sea, and the treasure of your infinite depths would be revealed to your eyes. But let there be no scales to weigh your known treasure, and seek not the depths of your knowledge with staff or sounding line, for self is a sea, boundless and measureless. Say not, I have found the truth, but rather, I have found a truth. Say not, I have found the path of the soul. Say rather, I have met the soul walking upon my path. For the soul walks upon all paths. The soul walks not upon a line, neither does it grow like a reed. The soul unfolds itself like a lotus of countless petals. Khalil Gibran, one of the chapters from the Prophet. Good morning, white rhythmic mirrors. How are we doing this morning, or this afternoon, or this middle of the night? It's always morning somewhere. Sunrise reflects sunset. Yin reflects yang. What are we a reflection of? What are we a reflection of? The divine, the unseen. Space reflects negative space. Am I a reflection of the divine? Is the whole a reflection of the divine? To me, the answer to this would both be yes, that makes sense in terms of we are a hologram where the part reflects the whole. Any part reflects the whole. And then my next thought is, anyone thinking, including me, but I have all these inabilities, I have all these so-called flaws, or I'm just this speck of dust. The divine is this. How could I compare? How could I reflect that? All these reasons I can think of why I am not reflecting that. Then the answer must be, if that were a truth I accept, then the answer would have to be, if the truth that I reflect the divine is accepted, we are created in the image of the divine. We are created in the image of the maker. Then by deduction, some of us on this planet have made this maker very human, jealous, angry, needs to be worshipped. Yeah, etc. Okay, and then by deduction, for me now, here, not me now here, but possibly, potentially me now here, if I look at all the things like, oh, how come I am like this? If I am if I am a reflection, is then the divine an imperfect being? The minute I ask that question, I stop breathing. My neck pulls forward and I tense up for whatever reason. Just observing my body as I speak. Taking us back to the serpent who is today no longer present. I remind us the serpent was present for 4 days. Anyone new here? Anyway, welcome. Back to life, back to reality. Let's talk truth. I have a lot to say about it all of a second Sunday. What is my relationship to that question and to that truth of being a reflection of the divine? Something in me tells me I need to tune my understanding of what the divine is and who I am. I see an image. I see a kind of a third dimensional image of a yin and yang disc, maybe, but it's a third dimensional disc, and it's not facing me head on, but it's rotating around, maybe with an axis, like the earth, and only every now and then it faces me head on, and when I see it head on, and other times it tilts around. Only when it faces me head on is yin and yang equal, and really, to my visual eye sense, a clear reflection, half, same. Everything else is like a bit of distorted, optically distorted. One piece that's closer to me is bigger and smaller and stuff. So this tuning process would be like to understand every now and then I can really see the divine in me. And at other times not. For me personally, I don't really know, I don't see it, like I don't see myself nor the divine that way. Can't look at God and put an adjective or something in front of it. Any kind of descriptive anything. It's like the Tao. The nameable Tao is not the Tao. How many years have I tried to wrap my head around that? Until I discovered the head is just not made for that. And I say head, I mean, you know what I mean? It's just not made to understand that, but it led me to actually discovering, finally, after 14 years of school, to surrender that way of thinking. And I was very fortunate to come into contact with the Tao intensely when I was 18, 19, just at the end of my schooling. I went to school a very long time. I had to repeat grade 9 because I went into an English-speaking international school, and not to start the IGCSE with my English, I would have flunked the whole course. So I repeated grade 9, and then It was a 13-year school cycle, so I went to school for 14 years. I'm very, very fortunate that was, because I choose this as my truth. I choose this to look at it as fortunate, because leaving school at the age of 16, for example, 10 years, and then you have to decide what you're going to do. Well, back in those days, you decided what you're doing with your life. It was still that era. Nowadays, it's like, what you're doing next. It's no longer a question of what you're going to do with your life. It's just like, what's next? Back then, I was like, what you going to do with your life? Like, heavy duty decision. At the age of 16, you don't know whether you are, in German we say, we don't know if you're meat or fish yet. It's like, oh gosh, you got other priorities at the age of 16 than to decide what the fuck you're going to do with your life. Oh my word. Anyway. Yeah, never mind the divine and never mind our reflection. I want to go somewhere else. Check this out. I don't know what's going on, but I typed into Google just the word truth. The first thing that comes up, the very first thing that comes up, Donald J. Trump. Truthsocial.com. Donald J. Trump at Real Donald Trump. Truth Social. What the hell that is, I have no idea. But it's the first thing that comes up on Google when you put in truth. Reflect on that. What order is that? Is that their new world order? Truth, reflect, order, endlessness. Let me just remind us. I'm not just randomly waffling. I am weaving Tolkien. But I want to read what Wikipedia says. And I want to just say that Wikipedia once upon a time was a bit of a thing you could rely on for truth. Relatively speaking, like the Webster Dictionary or any other dictionary, they endeavored to give truth. The world changed in 2020. The concept of truth changed in 2020. Words and their meanings changed in 2020. We went through a pole shift. Left became right, right became left, yin became yang, yang became yin, he became her became him, and they became I. I got lost along the way. Anyway, truth, according to Wikipedia, truth is conformity to reality or fact. It contrasts with falsity or misrepresentation that fails to align with the world. Truth is typically treated as a property of truth bearers, such as sentences, propositions, or beliefs that describe things as they are. It is closely related to truthfulness, a virtue associated with honesty, and to truth-likeness, a characteristic of theories that approximate the truth. I've never heard of that word, truth-likeness. Various theories of the nature of truth have been proposed, but its precise definition remains contested. I am right at home in that world. The correspondence theory holds that a statement is true if it corresponds to fact. According to the coherence theory, truth consists in logical consistency and mutual support among beliefs. Pragmatists understand truth in terms of practical consequences and epistemic practices, claiming that truth is what works, or what would withstand the test of unlimited inquiry. The semantic theory analyzes the truth conditions of sentences in an object language from the perspective of a meta-language. Deflationary theories argue that truth has no significant intrinsic nature, holding that the linguistic role of truth-related expressions exhausts the concept of truth. Are you still following? think I have lost myself somewhere further up. But anyway, let's go on a little bit longer. Bear with me if this is incredibly boring and dry. Pluralists assert that the definition I need to click on all these things and like, what the fuck is a pluralist? Pluralists assert that the definition of truth varies with the domain of analysis. Am I a pluralist? While relativists maintain that the same statement can be true in one perspective and false in another. Oh, I am a relativist. Oh yes, I drive some people completely crazy with that. Theories of truth are challenged by logical paradoxes. Logical paradoxes. Isn't that an oxymoron? Oh, I don't know. Theories of truth are challenged by logical paradoxes. Such as the liar paradox. Guys, I'm going to have to click on the liar paradox. Wait, let me finish this paragraph. There are also discussions about the existence of additional truth values besides true and false, about the possibility of truth value gaps, statements that have no truth value. Okay. The rest is the rest. What the heck is a liar paradox? In philosophy and logic, the classical liar paradox or liar's paradox or antinomy of the liar is the statement of a liar that they are lying. For instance, declaring that I am lying. If the liar is indeed lying, then the liar is telling the truth, which means the liar just lied. In this sentence is a lie, the paradox is strengthened in order to make it in order. Order stands out to me right now because today, truth, order, endlessness. In this sentence is a lie, the paradox is strengthened in order to make it amendable to more rigorous logical analysis. It is still generally called the liar paradox, although abstraction is made precisely from the liar making the statement. Trying to assign to this statement, the strengthened liar, a classical binary truth value leads to a contradiction. Assume that this sentence is false, is true, then we can trust its content, which states the opposite and thus causes a contradiction. Similarly, we get a contradiction when we assume the opposite. My friends, I have read these words and understood not one of them. And it's not true, I understand each one of them, but I don't understand this. Like, what? Truth value leads to a contradiction. Well, what is my point? Exactly that. What the hell is truth? And we don't need to have what I need to look up another word, which I do want to use, but I never use it. The word empirical truth, I often hear about that. I'm embarrassed to say, like, what the heck does that actually, based on, concerned with, or verifiable by observation or experience rather than theory or pure logic. Empirical truth. Verifiable observation or experience. Yeah, well, my empirical truth need not be yours. I'm reminded of tone 12. Hold on. Because tone 12, it stands for universalizing. And universalizing to me means, or maybe it does mean, to universalize means to really, this applies to everything or everyone or everything within its. A universal truth for a human would be one that, barring a few, I guess, would apply to all. I don't know if we have to say it has to apply to all, or we can say bell-shaped curve, it just is enough if it applies to 80-90%, then it's a universal truth or something universalizing. What I'm checking now is tone 6 in this wave and tone 12 have no relation. They're not in any pulsar. not in an overtone pulsar, which has to do with the dots above the lines in the number notation system, nor are they in a bass pulsar together. Quite interesting. Not interesting, because truth. Haha, no. Now I followed an illogical lead because my baseline was wrong. Because the truth is today in the seal, it's not in the tone. And in this wave spell, it doesn't matter on tone 12. What matters is not what is in this wave spell on tone 12. My actual question, and I often don't say this, but I think this on the warrior days, fearlessness, questioning intelligence. We can question our own intelligence. We should. I think it's a sign of intelligence to be able to question your own intelligence. But that's my personal opinion, my own empirical truth. Am I having fun? But the ability to ask the right questions. The warrior in this wave spell. Now, what I wanted to say is what may be really relevant is in which wave spell is the mirror on tone 12. And since I want to know that, and since it's too early for my brain to work it out by itself, which is not a good sign to be so mentally lazy, that is, first of all, that crystal mirror is guided by the dog. And the dog stands for loyalty and social. So if we want to universalize love, we best do it with. we want to universalize truth. It be guided by love. Universal love is true, says the sun. It's the wave spell of the blue hand. Oh, we've had it already. Second wave spell in the spin. And the first time we ever meet the mirror in the spin, it's the first mirror we meet on the crystal tone. Oh, I love that. Okay, I'm not going to let that sink in. We today are, wait, I have too many spin-offs right now. Where's my center? Breathe. Asking the right questions. Truth. The tone rhythmic today maybe denotes that we don't cling to our truths and make them into something so solid that it can't change, because truth, there may be universal truths such as humans need to breathe. For the time being, that may be true, because none of us, I'm willing to wager, know any humans who can be human and not breathe. When they're not breathing, we consider them dead. And how do we know they're dead? If we leave them lying around for long enough, they decompose. It's pretty much a sign that there isn't a human kind of life in there. There's a lot of life in the body still. All those little minions of decomposition that take the cells and the organs and everything back to take them back to transition them into something that can build new bodies. Earth, in the meantime, ashes to ashes, earth to earth, the spirit has fled its human prison. Is that a truth? Ugh. I mean, we have to question our truth. It's the ability to question our truth. The warrior is in this wave spell, the wave spell of the skywalker. Need I remind us? No. The skywalker, the explorer, wakefully exploring daytime, nighttime, dreamtime, every time, space and time and whatever. bringing heaven to earth. The Skywalker, my best friend, personally speaking. The warrior is on tone 4, self-existing, intelligence. Every living being has intelligence adequate to its state of existence, whatever it is. And humans do too. I never tire to say how I think our school system interferes too much with that and needs overhauling, and is being overhauled as we speak. Very good. I'm hopeful that school in the future will be something to allow children to really discover who they are and discover the world. Talking truth, the world as it is. That's in physics, quantum physics, the third dimension, the manifest world, truth or reality, not in quantum physics, but I listen to a quantum physics link. I enjoy listening to them nowadays while falling asleep. They said reality is what we agree upon to be real. So in a way, the third dimension may be such where we all agree a tree is a tree. The way we see it, when we touch it, we kind of like can agree on the properties. Quantum physics takes us deep into realms and properties where the agreed upon properties and laws and understood concepts, well, we only understand them because we've learned them in school. Anyway, what we've been taught no longer applies. I was once asked the question, I'm bringing it in here again. Not I once was asked the question, I read a book, and in that it asked the question, what do you know about yourself that you were not taught or told, that was not taught to you or told to you? What do you know about yourself? Even your name has been told to you. What do I know about myself that I wasn't taught? If I say, I know that I have a body, I would have to say, there's the fact that if I was never taught or told anything, I would not consider myself as having a body. I wouldn't have that concept that I has a body. If I even had a concept of I, okay, we can grow up in the world. All of us speak I, so I would say I would form an identity. Even my identity as of I has been taught. Can I imagine an identity that isn't I? Yes, I can. I think you can grow up, and probably many indigenous cultures they can't even probably tell us about it because it would be so natural, and they're not as extremely right-brained or left-brained or whatever it is, analytical-brained as we are. Much more in tune with the earth and nature they are. It's a different state of being that many of us Western-trained minds can't even begin to consider as anything we could even consider grasping, which is why when we have psychedelic experiences, they are so different to our regular experience, and we accept our regular experience collectively as this is, we're experiencing reality. Oh my goodness. But okay, it's a consensus truth. One of many. But where am I going with this? I'm always on about healing. I'm always on about how to live in this world as a one single human or a collective humanity. And then how do we as a collective humanity live on a planet in harmony with it, and then in harmony with the galactic galaxy. How do we become, if, they say we're becoming galactic humans, we already probably are, blah, 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 blah. What? Where is it relevant? Anyone listening can slot themselves in like, okay, for me, the relevance is me and my body. For me, the relevance is me and my family. How do I live harmoniously? I need healing. I want healing. Another says, well, I got all that sorted. How do we be galactic? Whatever, it's fractals. It's all the same. Just a different level. Holographic, blah, blah. Where is it relevant? I mean, why would I surf the Tolkien? Why would I be human? Why would I even listening to a podcast? Why would I be listening to this? If I'm listening, if anybody's listening. Why am I talking? For me, I'm talking because it's joy. Okay, now where is it relevant? My very identity determines my position relative to everyone else. Now, I can bring in psychology, weave it all in, trauma, non-trauma. If I am not healthy, if I am not functioning optimally, if I cannot express creatively, if I do not know who I am, if I am unhappy, which unhappiness or a discontent to whatever degree is interesting. I was about to say something that immediately the warrior questions. I was gonna say it's not healthy. It's a sign of unhealth. And it's like, hey, is it? Of course, it's not. It's like saying contrast is something not healthy. And no, contrast is a part of life. So happiness, so unhappiness, blah blah. Any state, every state. But so then I'm thinking, but prolonged unhappiness. Like, okay, I'm talking very simple terms. Prolonged unhappiness could be called depression, yeah? Now we can agree on that being a not so healthy state. Something in me is, of course, questioning that and says, at what point? So it's a question of time, at which point it becomes unhealthy. Being like depressed for a few hours could just be mistaken boredom. My energy is depressed. If it's a short-lived thing, it is very different to if it stays around for months or years. So here we come to time. Who's guiding us today? Oh, the mirror. Sometimes the mirror is guided by the wizard. White signs always guide white signs. The wizard represents timelessness. Haha! Tatiana. I often say that sometimes a sign is guided by another sign. So the guides, yes, of course, they're very relevant. Wait, let's go to today. The wizard, and where I want to bridge across to the wizard. The wizard stands for timelessness, right? Now the bridge can be the guide. The bridge can be the pulsar. A pulsar in this system is when you look at what a wave looks like, these 13 seals, you see the colors, red, white, blue, yellow, red, white, blue, yellow. In this particular case, since we're starting on the red Skywalker, but the sequence of the colors is always the same. If you know this, and I've said it many times, or you're in the system anyway, bear with me or fast forward. A pulsar, there are two kinds of pulsars. There are 4 base pulsars. They are color-coded, if you will. In this case, the red Skywalker, the first pulsar is the time pulsar. It's called the time pulsar. It's always it holds 4 seals. The time pulsar of the wave spell of the red Skywalker includes the red Skywalker, the red Earth, the red dragon, and not any red, the magnetic Skywalker, the overtone Earth, the solar dragon, and the cosmic serpent. The 4 of them resonate together, forming a pulsar. The time pulsar. I'm not going to say more about that because I'm not qualified to. I can kind of sort of feel what that means, and I've read about it enough to have a grasp. but not enough to repeat, to teach it. The second pulsar, the life pulsar of every wave spell, is in this particular case white, refining. Excuse my stomach if you hear it growling. I'm hungry. Body says, food. Mind says, shut the fuck up. It doesn't. It says lovingly, wait, honey bunch. Hate, money bunch. Wait, my honey bunch. That life pulsar, which we are in, is my bridge now to the wizard. Is wizard, white lunar wizard. I'm not going to explain the tones, please, if you know them, interestingly, because they matter. The tones matter. The life pulsar is always lunar tone, rhythmic tone, and planetary tone. Now I'm going to dive a little bit into that because I've dived into truth. It's boring. We know whatever it means. Wait, I'm totally sidetracking here. I've got to get back to the pulsars. I am opening a wormhole. I wanted to thank you. Thank you for bringing me back. Does it matter to weave it together? It is so, it's very, it's really a very expanded view to now say the life pulsar, because I have to now bring in the warrior also, who is the mind form pulsar in this wave spell. It's the fourth pulsar. Oh fuck man, how can I say this? Because I want to get back to this, our truth, our questioning ability, our identity, and the psychology of it, and when we're not well, and how do we weave it all together? You just can make it so wide. Like if you're saying this is too cerebral, Tatiana, you've lost me like 10 minutes ago. I get it, but I haven't lost myself, and to me this is like, I love this. Like, yes, weave it together. Why does it matter? It does, and it totally doesn't. But for me, if I want to understand, like, I need the warrior in order to be a Skywalker. I'm going to bring us back to the pulsars at some point, maybe today. You can, that maybe at the end you can skip it if that's too advanced or like boring. If I want to be a Skywalker. Now, being a Skywalker. By the way, if you're listening to this, Juliana is a Skywalker. If I want to be a Skywalker, which means bringing heaven to earth, which means man, that is already a step up from being human. We're talking evolution. That Tolkien is our evolution. Human is like what we're here together. In the third dimension, on planet Earth, the spin starts. This is now my take on this thing. My personal take on this thing. Not a truth about the Tolkien. This is my interpretation, as this whole thing is kind of like I take the words and the concepts we get given and I weave it into my game. This is my interpretation. My empirical guesswork. Okay, wait. Subjective and empirical truth. The spin starts on the dragon, right? The 260-day Tolkien spin starts on the dragon. There's been spins before, so the end is the beginning. It's never like an ultimate beginning, but a relative beginning. So it starts on the magnetic dragon. Tone 1. Not tone 1, I lie. Kin 1. It's the magnetic dragon. Today, we're on kin 58, which means I've done this for 58 days. Can I get a hello there? What is this? Infinite waters always. Can I get a whatever. So the first human we meet is kin 12. The 12th seal in the seal of 20. There are 20 seals, 13 tones. 13 times 20 is 260. Therefore, 260 days or creative energies in creation. This is sacred geometry, like it all checks out. Anywhere you look, this is quantum physics or whatever, this is sacred geometry, it all checks out. But I'm not going to do the maths for you now. But the first human we meet is tone 12, crystal. The crystal human. Universalizing the crystal human, crystal mirror, crystal human. Dedicate, universalized cooperation, tone 12. Free will, influence, wisdom, human. This is who we are on this planet as far as I'm concerned. Because this is humanity. Dedicated, universalized cooperation. That's why there's many humans here, because we're cooperating, we're universalizing, we're finding out. Each human gets to have its own objective, subjective, non-universal truth, mirror. What applies to me may not apply to you. Blah, blah, blah. What I experience may not be your experience. When I do X, I experience this, may not apply to you, which is for me always something that modern medicine, of course, they're not after your health, or the primary intention is making money, not making health. Sorry to say, that's my subjective truth. It is not an empirical truth. It is not an objective truth. It is not a universal truth. It is just a... But the Western medicine doesn't take into account, in my understanding, in my view, that that medicine needs to be really tailor-made, and the medicine of the future will be tailor-made. And part of what we're so afraid of the AI, it knows all our, knows all our details, knows everything about us, and that is going to be abused. While that may be abused, it will also be used. And inasmuch as this AI doctor of the future and medicine machine of the future is going to know everything about us, it's going to be able, like never before, ideally speaking, to tailor-make medication or remedies for us. And that isn't always going to be. Maybe then we've really left this really low energy, really low frequency, I say, it's my own subjective, pre-programmed, pre-taught viewpoint on capitalism. In my view, capitalism is not an optimal ism or state for humanity, obviously. We often say, people say, I often hear like communism might be a good idea, but humans aren't evolved enough for it. Well, we wouldn't know, would we? We haven't been there. We haven't been evolved enough for it. But that doesn't mean we never will be. So, and neither have we had communism because of for whatever reason. But the possibility that so what I want to say is truth is like medication will be tailor-made, and it can tell you should just move a little bit more. You don't need medication for your arthritis. You need to start moving. And what are you saying? You're struggling with moving? Aha, you need to look at your dreams a little bit more, because you need to follow your dreams. What is it you wanted to really ever? What is it you really want in your life? What are you born for and you're not following? Skywalker, which dream are you not following? Which dreams are you not following? When you follow your dreams, you will very naturally be moved, because that is the engine of evolution, desire, dream. The third I'm really sidetracking now, just bear with me, if otherwise switch me off. The third kin that we meet in the red dragon, when the spin starts, the whole creative process, the blue knight, is the kin number 3. Red dragon, white wind. Oh, don't get me started on white wind. For me, the wind, communication, breath, blah, in this yellow sun wave spell. Oh, which is, oh God, fuck. Ooh, the system is just so fucking insane. The sun is kin 20. The last kin. The dragon is the first kin. Starts the spin, but and the yellow sun ends the spin. But the yellow sun wave spell, 13-day period, is the fourth wave spell, self-existing. So important, that fourth tone. All tones are very important. I just emphasize the sun because I am one little bit of ego in you. I don't know what that is. No, but I mean, it's not ego. It's got nothing to do with me. But it's like the consciousness, yes, evolving in consciousness, in evolving human consciousness. That is what we're all here for, as far as I'm concerned. But that is just as far as I'm concerned. Others are like, no, we're not. We're here to die. We're here to become earth. We're here to explore the earth. We're here, not consciousness, forget about that. We're here to make a lot of money. I mean, that's valid. It's as valid as exploring and growing consciousness. Grow your money tree, Who am I to judge that? Of course, I'm not judging that. Wait, where am I going? In a sidetrack, a yellow sun wave spell, which I am magnetic sun, so this is really relevant to me. This is why I talk so much. This is why I love talking, and I love this space because here I can talk as much as I want. You don't have to listen. Finally, the space where it's like I don't have to think about, am I boring the crap out of someone? Is this interesting? Da, 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 da. I never worry about that when I communicate with people because I'm in communication. I think I can listen and feel as much as, like what's the. But this space is one where the wind in me, and in the yellow sun wave spell, the wind is electric, linking, bonding service. Like it like links me to me. So talking, communication, listening to spirit, and like what I'm doing right now. I don't know if I'm listening to spirit, but it just really activates me. It really blows my dress up. I really enjoy this. So, but it's the second. The wind is the second in the start of creation. It's lunar. I'm not going there now. I've been there already. Check it out. Second day, whatever I said on that day. Wait another 260 minus 58 minus 1 days, and then we do it again. I'm sure I'm going to keep doing this unless I get bored of myself. But it's not about to happen. I think. I'm not sure. I think therefore I am. What? Go away. Day 3 in the whole creative process is the blue night. Now, I emphasize the blue night because we're in the wave spell of, excuse me for talking so fast, oh my gosh. We're in the wave spell of the Skywalker. And the antipode of the Skywalker is the blue night, dream time. The shadow of this blue night thingy for the Skywalker, and we're all Skywalkers, unless we are not. And we can ask ourselves, why wouldn't anyone be a Skywalker? But if you're listening to this, you're definitely a Skywalker. You're definitely interested in making your life more fun, better, quote unquote, or you're definitely interested in being creative. You're definitely interested in yourself, life, smaller or greater concepts, or I don't know what you're interested in, but I don't know why you're listening if you're listening. Write it in the comment box. A little bit of clickbait, don't, but do if you feel like it. I would actually want to know, why would anyone listen to this? If you want to do me a favor, like, write me a comment in the comment box. I'm going to know if I get no comment, nobody has listened to this. YouTube tells me how many people listen to this and how long. The average is not even a minute. Okay, a little bit aside. Wait, I'm so in my own echo chamber here, it's not funny. Yet it's very funny. I'm going to the blue night. The blue night, the shadow of the blue night is escapism. Is really dreaming and never actually getting to know. The act of dreaming can be deeply fulfilling. I personally believe when we say, in German we have this saying, Träume sind Schäume, which we love saying because it rhymes. Dreams are foam, not graspable, not real. You can't build anything out of foam. Soap bubbles, clouds. I mean, hello? That's a paradigm. A lot of us, those of us who've who've grown up within that paradigm, and especially if we are either dreamers or if we are actually that can become a real serious prison, because we can then negate our dreams and the ability to dream. If we've converted it, let's say we become an architect. I don't know if an architect dreams up what he's going to architect, what he's going to draw up. Why isn't there a verb? I architect this house. Anyway, should be a verb there. What's the verb? What does an architect do? Imagination. That is dream time, your imagination. You're pulling the house out of, but as an architect, you have learned the rules along which you can create. Now, those rules may really limit your ability to envision, because they are a specific set or way of thinking. Like, it has to, whatever your architecture can be, has to apply to certain standards. Now, one universal truth. I'm glad I'm venturing into this. This is an explorative process for me. I would assume a universal truth would be like what is it called? Statistic. In this case, statics. Like your width to height ratios, for example. That's a universal truth. Everyone who wants to build a building structure has to be understood. What supports a floor that a human or any weight can be supported by the floor, first floor, second floor, third floor. How deep into the earth can you dig? How deep do you have to have the foundation? It depends on how high this building wants to be, blah, 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 blah. Those are universal. Everyone on this planet, I would say, whoever wants to erect a structure, the material, that there are some universal rules. But then there are also some that are space-time, culture, or paradigm specific. Like, which materials can you even use? A Western architect may never be able to think outside a box if he hasn't learned or is encouraged to think outside the box and realize, wait, I can build a house out of glass bottles. Is maybe not the most natural thing. That's a creative process. Now, like, even me, I'm not thinking outside the box, like, out of mushroom or out of, whatever plant, whatever, the earth gives it all to us. So these are creative processes, and the creative process, the Skywalker, is the occult friend. I've called them musketeers now, to the yellow star. And the yellow star is the archetype of the artist. And the yellow star is attached to the blue monkey as a analog kin. So they're very, very important. The inner child, the creative abilities. It's really drawn out in the Tzolk'in. And the Skywalker, being explorative. If you're creative, you need to explore what works, what doesn't. Explore the dream field. Every artist just explores and brings out something. A piece of art is a unique something that will never be reproduced. Well, that's not true. There's reproducible art. Of course, yes, there's reproducible art. That's still art. But yeah, so scrap that statement. Human beings are pieces of art. We are artists. We are the art created by the Creator. Everything that God has created is art, because everything in creation. Well, caveat, is that so? Now I'm going down a blind alley again. Stop it, Tatiana. Where am I leading us to? Dreamtime on tone 3. Linking bonding service. In the initial, this is getting long again. In the very beginning, this dream field, dream time, and it's everything. Like, I'm not going to explain dream time, the Aboriginal dream time, the field of all potentialities, the field of all possibilities. I'm not going to explain it again. Where we do. In night dreams, everything manifests instantly. In the third dimension, we also have time, which is an amazing thing to have. And to be able to bend space-time, we can create instant manifestation. Now I got it. I built my own bridge to something I contemplated a couple of days ago, whether we can or not, on the magician, I think. This magician, 5 days ago. And I'm going to get back to the pulsar, and the link to the magician and the mirror, timelessness. Wait, I hope I do. I hope I don't forget. But right now I'm in the dream time, and the importance in the skywalker, being healthy, is super important. How do you skywalk if you're not? If it's a small, niggly, diggly, wiggly thing, you can still. But if it's like, if you have a stone in your shoe, it can be so small. For me, yesterday, I was walking, had a tiny, tiny, tiny stone in my shoe and space in my shoe. So this tiny stone, every step I took was moving. So it every step I took, a different space, and then my foot moves to get rid of that stone. And it was pretty distractive. It was the tiniest stone, like the size of a pinhead. And yet it had quite a bit of power over my focus. And then I decided, like, oh no, I can just ignore this. Just walk. Let the body do it by itself. It's a decision I can make. I keep on walking. It's not a big deal. Yellow human, influence, wisdom. What was the third one? Wisdom, influence. Look it up. I've got it right here. Free will, of course. If I did this over a very long period of time, forcefully ignoring, I might develop muscular patterns that I can later on no longer stop. I may later on no longer notice, and they may be malfunctioning. Not malfunctioning, wrong word. They may be causing an issue because that's not what my foot is meant to do. Like shoes are an essential problem. Our modern shoes are an essential problem of the modern humans who wear them, and most of us are not aware of the problem they cause. It's so normal. We're all having the problem. We're all wearing shoes. And as much as sitting, and as much as I say the school system we've all gone through is a major problem, it's very difficult for us to detect because we believe it's like, I bash religion very often, but religion is in many ways, the way it's been practiced for the longest time now, a major problem. It won't always be, because we will adjust the problems. We take them out of the religious. But it is a problem, but it teaches you that it is a good thing. So we believe in this education that we've been given because it makes us think along. I look at all the people we respect, are great thinkers, great this, great this, great that. And it's very difficult to break out of that paradigm and realize, no, but wait a minute. What we consider achievements, no disrespect intended, if we look at I'm not going there, no. Oh, Tatjana, bite your tongue. That's my subjective point of view. Where am I going? The dream time. The ability to dream as a skywalker. Now this dream time, the blue night on tone 3, linking bonding service, super important in that position. We must. Dr. Tatjana prescribes. Take note of that. If we're surfing the Tolkien, we take note of that. Tone 3, linking bonding service. Linking bonding service, electric. That's the first time we meet the night. That's how the night serves the mother of all creation, the red dragon. In the yellow sun wave spell, seal 20, the alpha and the omega, consciousness, life itself. Huh? No less than life itself. Not just the human is a part of life itself, but also as a human, my life is the ultimate. Whatever human is, we have no idea what human is, but in any case, we have our definitions of it, and they're evolving. Truth's constantly evolving. That's why I said in the beginning, like rhythmic truth, very good for the skywalker to understand. You discover a truth, you let it go. Step on the left foot, lift the right foot. Step on the right foot, lift the left foot. Rhythmic, rhythm. To dance, you gotta constantly be in motion. You let go of one, the body is in constant motion. In the quantum field, once we get into the quantum field, everything is information, constant motion. Nothing stands still. But that is from the perspective of the perspective. You know, it's like there are perspectives of stillness. And this is the amazingness of being a consciousness, never mind human, but being consciousness. I can observe motion and stillness at the same time. At the same time, if I observe two things at the same time, the second I'm observing, I'm not in time. This moment isn't time. The moment is not time. It is not time. The now is by definition, in my understanding, not time. In my not mental understanding, in my sense right now, it cannot be time. It is, life isn't time. That's why the quantum theorists are just quantum theorists taking us there. Spiritual theories always like, what the fuck is time? I mean, who needs it? We needed clock time. Be there 1405. Don't be 5 minutes early. Oh God, that's rude. And don't be 15 minutes late. That's even ruder. Anyway, where am I going? Truth, huh? Truth. I've lived in a culture where, yes, I come to fix your washing machine. I'll come at 4 o'clock tomorrow. That means I'll come any time in the next week, if you're lucky. And that's normal. If I haven't come within the next week, call me again. That is normal. And when we go into that culture, like, oh my God, 4 o'clock, I'm sitting here waiting. 10 past 4, he's still not here. Where is he? How uptight can we be? And yet, if everyone is like that, if we all consensus reality, then the society flows. 4 o'clock means 4 o'clock. You be there 4 o'clock. If you aren't within that cultural paradigm, if you're not there quarter past, if you haven't let me know you're not coming or you're going to be late, things stop flowing because I have planned my day. I have planned. And now, even if I have no plans, I can look at you as you're wasting my time. And if this is how I look at it, I can now build up resistance, resentment, and a problem. I'm not at all skywalking. I am creating the problem, not you, but I, in this paradigm, will blame you. You have created my problem because you didn't show up to the appointed time. Or you're half an hour late. I mean, much smarter to say, hey, I just got given time. And that's what I love. I mean, back in the days I had a book, or today I have a smartphone. Either way, I always carry something. I have my own mind. Whatever I have in the time you're giving me while I'm waiting for you, I never wait. I, Tatiana, never wait. I sit here and I have time. I get given this time, quote unquote time, while I'm quote unquote waiting for someone who's quote unquote late, perhaps, or delayed, whether I know they're delayed or not. For me, it's like, oh, I do something with that time. It's wonderful. Wonderful. And I love it especially since I myself don't really incorporate time to dream or to go somewhere. If I have, I can attend to messages that have been, like there's so much I can do in time. I never really mind. I never mind when someone is late or doesn't show up at all. If I go somewhere, let's say we're meeting in a restaurant, it hasn't happened to me. It's happened to me once in my life that someone didn't show up. I think it's happened to me once in my life, maybe twice, that someone didn't show up. Nowadays with smartphones, we can let each other know. Anyway, I'm not going there. So now I once are totally down a blind alley. Not a blind alley, but an alley. So we're stopping that. Nighttime, blue time, blue night, skywalking. Let's weave it back. Have I made my point? On tone 3, why was I going there? In this wave spell, there's no blue night, but the blue night is so attached to the skywalker. Really important. How can I weave us back? Oh gosh, yes, we do have the night in here. What am I saying? I'm talking crap. Of course we have the night on tone 11. We'll get there when we get there. In time! We're only on tone 6. Rhythmic truth. I've spoken about that. Delish. And then your truth versus my truth, not universal truth. Rhythmic truth, in this case, as opposed to crystal truth, universal truth, truth, white mirror on tone 12, today white mirror on tone 6, rhythmic truth would really remind us of subjectiveness of truth, and we don't need to argue about what's true. And now, for some strange reason, this thing that I just found when I typed in truth in my thingy and Donald Trump showed up. Now, isn't he's such a I look at the earth and all its gyratics as a game. And Donald Trump is such a fun, to me, my perspective. Of course, I'm not affected by his. I look at this game from my perspective. In my game, that is all. I'm not involved in his game. I'm a spectator on his game, and right now this I wants to say, why would I be involved in his game? That doesn't that's not my game. But there are other players on this playing field that are involved, and if they don't know how to play the game and they are victims, that's another story. My paradigm is controversial, and maybe I lose some friends over it. It's like, well, whoever plays there, whatever. I look at it like he just throws a spanner in the wheel all of the time. It's like the shit he does. It's like, it's not funny, or it is really funny. Like, but we've got the blue eagle, the Skywalker perspective, the serpent perspective. I don't know. For me, I'm yellow sun. I can't take that perspective that gets angry. I want to about what he does. I'm coming from a perspective of truth right now. I see people with their perspective on what this guy does on this world, and a lot of times very angry, but very convinced of their truth of what he does. And I'm just using him as an example. We can use anything. We're really strongly polarized, and he polarizes like nobody's business. And very often, 2020 showed us that as well, how polarized we can get, where we can lose as humans the ability to hold within ourselves another point of view. In the Western world, many humans cannot hold the polar opposite within themselves. I spoke about it at length, I think in the last wave spell, or 2 wave spells ago, or 3 wave spells ago, on a lunar tone, where I read up on it on the net, and the polarity and polarization, what it says, and it said there, the process of polarization. Oh, fuck me enough. The only part of it I remember is polarities form complementary relationships between the polar opposites. I'm going to go back to this on the next lunar tone, because that was just so fun. That was so good. This polarity and polarization versus duality and what. I don't know which polar lunar tone I read that stuff on. I should actually look it up myself and put it in the comment box, because it's really worth remembering and noting. I think that was very worth it. But am I going? The ability to hold an opposing truth within ourselves and to form a complementary relationship with that opposing truth. Society, when we look out, showed us how people couldn't even hold, at least in this world that I live in, where I looked, and I experienced this firsthand, empirically. My empirical experience is like people couldn't abide like being in the same room with people of an opposing opinion about the going matter in 2020 and 2021. Up to this day, I know in Germany there are villages where I have friends who live there. They say there is a line, there's a dividing line through this village. There are people who were friends before 2020, they no longer sit on the same table in a restaurant. They don't walk on the same sidewalk, type of thing. It's like us and them. There's a hate line. Yeah, I'm making my point. That is polarization and the inability to form a complementary, mutually beneficial relationship between polar opposites. And I believe, perhaps it could be true, perhaps it could be a universal truth, that if we are not able to do that within ourselves, where needed, we start to form illness. We start to form dysfunction, dis-ease. And that can be within our bodies, it can be within our minds, it can be within our families, it can be within our social circles, it can be within our nations, whatever, we when we don't manage to form, when we polarize Democrats versus what the other side is, apples versus pear, what the left minus the versus the right, what the. And it's great to polarize. That's also part of that quote, that it causes a stability. There's nothing wrong with polarization. But when we split off from that other pole, which is what definitely Christianity, definitely Western religion, I think Islam too, I think Hinduism, no, they did not do that, because in Hinduism, their so-called Trinity is not a polarized version like Christianity. The Holy Trinity is only good. Christianity split the atom, and Christianity is an atom bomb in action. They split the atom, in my view. This is not an empirical truth. This is a very subjective view. This is what I think, how I see it. They divorced, they split the unity of all things, all forces exist. They turn it into good and evil. They've given us the story of good and evil. The Christians, maybe there was a story like that before, but it was meant as a warning. If you do that, and maybe the Christian story is still that, but Christianity actually did that. They've caused that. They've caused so much grief on this planet, killing people in the name of, and the Inquisition and all of that. I mean, they did it. And to this day, there's a lot of shit that goes on within that religious context. They're healing it. It will change. But they have a way to go to really clean that up. And to clean that up in the collective field of memory. Which means they have to get all of us, actually, I think, to understand. I don't know what they have to get. Forget about that, Tatiana, blind alley. But what I want to say is this splitting of the atom. This, like, if you do that, if you polarize, if you introduce good and evil, good and bad is a softer version because it's like wanted and unwanted. This serves over here and this doesn't serve over here. That's a different story. Yin and yang. This is masculine, this is feminine, this is male, this is female. Everything has its place and purpose. In versus the Christians did it, as far as I'm concerned, but the story says if you split that, you're going to create a lot of problems, quote unquote, because you're going to make an evil out of something that isn't evil, and you're going to start fighting against it, fearing it, hating. You're going to create, since you are made in the image of a creator, you are creators within your sphere of influence, yellow human influence, whatever our sphere of influence is, within our sphere of influence, you're going to create something that will not serve you. I don't know if I can put it any simpler way, if I'm making it too simple, but I want to say it like this now. If I got a whatever error in my thinking, please point it out to me. Versus the three godheads that form the Trinity in Hinduism. I always get one of them wrong. Brahma, Shakti, Shiva. What are they, three of them? I could look it up now. I'm not going to. You can look it up yourself. But they stand for the creator, the maintainer, and the destroyer. Always the Godheads, always they stand for principles. The Western mind often looks at any spiritual system that worships like different gods. The monotheistic viewpoint can look at that as, oh, that's hedonism, not hedonism, heathens. What are they like? That's like they belittle that, not understanding that each of these gods, they stand for principles, and they're usable principles. I'm not here to talk about that anyway. But the unity of creation, maintaining, and destroying is a very, very, very different view than the that is a united polarity. The creator and the destroyer are united in one. They are polar opposites, but they're forming a mutually complementary relationship, mutually beneficial complementary relationship within the one and the maintainer. It's a trinity. Tone 3, electric. Boom, blue night. In this wave spell, Tatjana, bring it home. That's my closing. It's the eagle. And the eagle stands for create, mind, and vision. Ding, 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 ding. How many points do I get for this? I didn't create the Tzolk'in, although we did. Way when, in no time. We are the creators. We are the image of. We have the creator within us. We are one with the creator in the quantum field. I mean, no denying that, whatever that means. Whew. Okay, now I'm going to close, taking us back to the pulsars. If you've listened to here, how far are we in? An hour 18. Oh my God. Okay. This pulsar, there are 4 pulsars. I'll weave it in another time. Or should I just quickly? Because I want to repeat it now and then. This isn't a teaching module, and you're not going to remember this unless you actually write it down and try to remember it. Maybe you can remember just through hearing. Some people can. There are these 4 pulsars, and then there are overtone pulsars, of which there are 5. The overtone pulsars are crossing over dimensions. The 4 base pulsars, they're based on the colors. The time pulsar I've already mentioned. The life pulsar is the one that I want to mention. I've already mentioned. Wizard. Oh, this is so involved. This is going to be too long. Then there's the 3rd pulsar, which is the sense pulsar. In this case, in this wave spell, it's the electric eagle, the resonant storm, and the spectral night. Is really worth investigating. What does it mean when these 3 seals and these 3 tones resonate together? together, like the Trinity I've just explained. And they are polar opposites. Tone 3 and tone 11 are really opposite. And on top of that, tone 11 in this case is the antipode. Always, the seal on tone 11 in the wave is always the antipode of the wave itself, of the in this case the skywalker. So like to really like everything is of service, which is why splitting the atom, it may release a lot of energy, but it's I'm not sure that that's the optimal way to serve the purpose. Maybe sometimes it is. Maybe in creating a lot of energy, I don't know if it is. I think we'll, whatever. But I much prefer the Trinity in the Hindu context, of course, than denigrating, is that the word? Anything into this is evil, this has to be shunned. No part of creation has to be shunned. When I first heard of Christianity and the devil and not Christianity, it was I grew up in the Western communist system, East Germany. I eventually learned about religion too. It was not the first thing. But the first thing I learned about, the first religion I learned about is Christianity. Then I learned that there are others. And I learned religion is the opium of the masses. Apparently Lenin is supposed to have said that, or Stalin, or whatever. It is the going principle in communism. Religion is the opium for the masses. And I understand exactly where they're coming from. Understand exactly what they mean. And I see how they came to liberate people from exactly that. They didn't need Hinduism. Hindus wouldn't come up with the communism because they've not created the split that Christians created. It's a very different baseline. So, I mean, I know communism came. It's a social structure, blah blah, that follows socialism, follows capitalism, follows whatism and whatism and whatism. Yeah, but the mind that came up with that is still a Christian mind. So it liberated itself both from a Christian capitalist mind that liberated itself, a spectral tone, from Christianity and from capitalism, or wanted to liberate humanity from Christianity and capitalism. Two, in that paradigm, root causes of evil. And I understand that paradigm. I can hold opposing views. I've learned to. Today someone asked me, does she know what love is? Boom, you split my atom. Thank you, Bernie. I told that story in another podcast. And whoever is new here will never have the time to listen to all of them, but I will not tell the story again. Anyway, maybe until I tell it again. Where are we? So, where are we? Where am I coming from? I'm trying to bring this baby home, man. These pulsars. There's a fourth pulsar, which is in this case, I mean in every case, the fourth pulsar, and the fourth pulsar is the third dimensional pulsar. Let me not go there. The second pulsar is the third pulsar is the second dimensional pulsar. The second pulsar is the first dimensional pulsar, and the first pulsar is the fourth dimensional pulsar. I have no understanding of that at all. The fourth pulsar is the mind form pulsar of the wave spell. So mind form, what the fuck? Mind form. I mean, this system is like super intelligent. It maps the creation of everything. Let me underline and remind us, whether we're following the traditional Maya Tzolk'in or the dream spell, which José Arguelles is based on the traditional Maya Tzolk'in. I take it on faith and instinct and intuition, and that it was channeled, that he really brought an update for the Western mind to work with. Some say from within the traditional Maya system that this is like a kind of sacrilege and a misappropriation, and there's a lot of criticism of the dream spell. I'm not haven't dived deeply into that. That is their story. If you're interested, you can investigate. I truly appreciate the dream spell, and when I've milked it dry for myself, or when the day comes when I have enough grasp of it, I will I will investigate the parallel, the Maya system, the mother system of the child of the dream spell system. So maybe that's a way to look at it, and maybe it would the critics maybe can't form a complementary relationship to the dream spell. They polarize and say the dream spell is bad and shouldn't be, and na. Perhaps the wiser way would be to say, well, it is a child, it is an offspring of the mother, so we follow the mother, the initial, the original. Anyone following the child should know they're following the child. ... Any case, this pulsar is the yellow warrior, the yellow sun, the yellow self-existing warrior, the yellow galactic sun, and the yellow crystal seed. Now, when you deeply dive into it and let that resonate, in order to get you get to let all these four pulsars resonate. If it's like making a symphony. Investigate each. The Skywalker itself is a note. The Skywalker with his four minions, his musketeers, is like a chord. And the wave is a progression of chords, 13 chords. And then the pulsars are dimensional and multi-dimensional, single-dimensional chords playing together, 4, 3, 3, 3. And then the overtone pulsars is where they're crossing dimensions and creating some music. Oh, beautiful. On the yellow crystal human, I quoted a video which quoted Roger Penrose, and I read a long quote from that. Go check it out. It's worth listening to. In my understanding, in my estimation, yeah, naturally, where he says we are music. Humans are music. And then there's Nada Brahma. Everything is sound. And if everything is sound, I can't think beyond music, but my limited human imagination would say the highest expression of sound is music. And music, for the human to absorb, needs time. So maybe time was created for music to be this thing that it is. Because in the multiverse, without time, all sounds would sound at the same time. Okay, now the last bridge I need to make is this wizard bridge. Why did I need to make a wizard bridge? Time versus timelessness. Yes, truth, and I need to make another bridge, which is to healing and to wholeness and to the ability to explore our own unwholeness. And sometimes we can't do it alone. We're chasing our own tail. We need to reflect ourselves in others. Why did the one split itself into two and then many? I mean, it's so logical. But self-reflection is also necessary, is it? In the Western world, we've often learned to distrust a lot of our pain and our disease comes from a lack of trust, and then not trusting our environment. When our parents teach us of, you see, it's the same, it's eating of the apple of good and evil. It's when that gets introduced, you're a bad girl, or I'm a bad person, or this is bad and has to be shunned. When that polarization happens like that in our growing up, also when we get programmed that way, and we get programmed with, we do not get taught, or maybe we don't need to be taught to form a complementary relationship. Maybe that's of polar opposites within ourselves. Maybe that's a totally natural ability. Maybe that's what nature does. No, I mean, look at, nature. There, it depends. Nature also fights for survival, but it doesn't. We call it nature fighting for survival. Nature doesn't fight for survival. It cooperates, and whatever. So, you see, human language says the strongest wins. If a species takes over an area and kills off other species, let's say, like when species, trees or plant species or animals like rabbits or something get introduced onto continents where they were not indigenous before, suddenly they have no maybe natural predator, and then they take over. I remember there was a time in South Africa where they took out, when I lived there, there was an initiative, maybe it's still going on, to remove all, coniferous trees, the other trees, the pine trees, yeah? Because they need a lot of water. They come from Europe where there is a lot of water. Africa doesn't have so much water. South Africa has a lot of water, but then they were starting to experience water shortage. And these trees have their roots with an ability to go deep and get a lot of water, which would then disrupt the system. So they, wanted to take them out so the indigenous fauna could flourish as it was meant to over there. Why am I speaking about this? Lost my train of thought. Yeah, so however we look at it as it's a fight for survival. No, it's just, whatever survives, survives, blah. But I want to take us back to our humanity. And if we learn that something cannot be had a complementary relationship with, we start, the worst thing is we ourselves become the enemy. Punkt. Full stop. That's what happens in the end. And then we project that outward. And we can't cope with ourselves, with aspects of ourselves. We're not in touch with it or whatever. So malfunctioning gets introduced. Because an aspect of ourselves is not heard, can't be integrated, whatever the case may be. I'm simplifying something extremely complex. But I'm trying to simplify it so that we can, even me, I need to learn where not to avoid myself. And I spoke about this yesterday. When I touch on something I'm trying to avoid, it's extremely uncomfortable. And the ability to hold that discomfort. Why do I have humans around me? I need to find a friend and talk about this so that this person can help me soothe this and help me regulate my own nervous system, because my nervous system, instinctually, my instincts misinterpret the situation, go into fight or flight or freeze or fawn mode, and it goes wrong from there. Punkt. Full stop. I could talk at length about it, but I won't now. So how do I regulate my nervous system so that I can actually think clearly, so that I can see the elephant in the room isn't an elephant, the problem I think is so big, or the threat I perceive does not exist? There may be a small situation that wants a solution, that wants to be resolved. There may be an unresolved chord that may want resolution. And it may be very simple, but because for some reason I have denigrated, is it the right word? I need to look that up. Criticize or belittle, especially in an unfair way. Disparage. I don't like jokes that denigrate individuals. Disparage, belittle, diminish, depreciate, cast aspersions on. What the fuck is an aspersion? Decry, criticize, unfairly, attack, speak ill of. Oh, I'm learning English. Aspersion. Need to look that up. Um, 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 um. Lost my train of thought. Breathe. Stop breathing. Reconnect. Yes, made a problem too big. Exactly. And I have one specific situation where I'm currently doing that with. I have been doing that with for years. And it may be linked to other situation, like by stuckness. And that may be shown in any place in my body where my fascia are stuck, where my flow doesn't happen. Absolutely. And my creative flow can't happen. I can't move. I can't have my full range of motion because a fear, it reflects. White mirror. Now I'm bringing it home. Ding, 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 ding. Do I have it? I want a signature tune. To bring it home to the body where my fascia can't move, where my mind can't move, where I'm in avoidance, maybe in denial, maybe in avoidance, whatever the case may be, because somewhere a threat is perceived that may not be there. If it really is there, I should still find a human, hold his or her hand, hold their hand, talk about my perceived threat. Has to be a trusted human, because if someone says, oh, it isn't there, get real, I'm not helped. It can be very, very stressful if someone just negates my reality. So I have to be wise, yellow human, wisdom. If I don't trust anyone, or if I've learned to distrust because maybe I have trusted, then I got a knock. All these things we learn, oh my God, it can just get so complicated. How complicated can we get? Eventually, the only way out is death, honestly, for real. But how can we heal? We have to want to heal. But if you have a problem and you say, I don't want to have this problem, you're going to have this problem. Because by law of, that's a universal law, you're focusing on, whatever you focus on, you keep adding energy to, you get more of. So you have to say, I want to be healthy. I want to be this healthy, creative, flowing person. Tatiana, take note. I mean, I am pretty healthy, but there are some things where, and they are, as I'm now releasing myself into more and more healing, which I've been doing for years, the issues where I'm stuck are becoming bigger. Just they're coming into view. Maybe because I'm now having the ability, I'm growing the muscle. Recently I was accused, oh, Tatiana, you don't have the muscle. Two-faced. You can't handle the truth. I'm like, what? Okay, let's have the truth. Are you talking truth to me, or are you projecting? And we didn't get to the bottom of it because the conversation did not go well. Say no more. And that was not me. That where I have grown in the past, I would have become extremely defensive. In that particular case, I can say for myself, and this is now shining a good light on me. I didn't get defensive. I just ended the conversation because, like, this isn't going anywhere. We're not. This isn't. This is not following any logic I can follow. You may have a logic, but I can't follow it. And when I'm asking you to explain it to me, you're saying, oh my God, I've explained it twice already. You need to work it out yourself type of thing. So it's like, okay, I'll work it out myself with this conversation and say good night. Really weird. Gaslighting at its best. Anyway, or gaslighting, that's a good one to talk about at another point in time. Fuck. Anyway, so I gotta end this because this is really seriously too long. It says who, but I'm hungry. But I have Time. Oh, lovely time. Isn't time a wonderful thing? We can stretch it. We can make it, we can stretch this entire reality. We can make it and mold it into anything we want, provided we know how to do it. But if we don't even know how to, first surely it starts with ourselves. What is this self? The world is a reflection of this self. Okay, now we're going back there. Don't. Where am I closing this thing? Timelessness. The mirror. In the Skywalker on tone 6. Order, reflect, order, balance, equality. Boom, 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 boom. One of the 3 words of tone 6 is equality. And today this would have to remind us to allow every point of view, every truth, no matter how far from our own it is, not to fight against it, not to argue against it unless we both agree, let's argue about it. Let's have a debate about it. That can be very healthy. Arguing, but debating, yeah. So, because a debate a debate is perfect. It's a mutually beneficial, complementary relationship. The debate itself is the relationship. It's us having a relationship and we're debating. It's wonderful. I love that. But I am trying to, whoever, there is a panel that, I think in debating, there is a panel that then judges. There's a judge. The nature of judgment. On a Yellow Sunday, maybe we'll talk about judgment. The nature of judgment. What is judgment? And we have to subjectify it. We have to bring it home to ourselves. Because when we are victim to our own judgment, and this is what I've just spoken at length about, what the splitting of the Christian Adam does, the good and evil thing, kicking us out of Eden, that judgment, we got to talk about it another day, but in the galactic sun might be a very good point to talk about it. Oh, yeah, can't wait. So, equality. Equalize. What do I want to leave us with? Timelessness, the mirror. Sometimes, why did I say sometimes the mirror is guided by the wizard? Because truths change. And when we are inflexible, when we have been told or taught, this is the truth and it can't change, such as, the society or the Western reflects something back to us. Something is really trying to break open a paradigm. It's doing it to the detriment of the individuals involved, or some of them, but it is still a case in point. The gender scenario. Breaking that paradigm open on the level of language, it's painful to many of us. Whatever that means. If that's painful, we have no other pain. Well, luxury pain, I guess. But, whatever it is, we can still go with it. There's nobody really getting hurt. It's just like he, she, it, they, what. Okay, let's... And in German, you have to in, we have to add this, it gets a bit complicated and the language gets a bit weird. But whatever we do about it, right? Are we going to fight about it? Oh God, there we go again. Polarizing without the complementary relationship. But that's the one thing. But bringing in this, you don't have to identify as male or female. You can change your gender. What is the third gender we're soon going to have a third gender? Male, female, masculine, feminine, and what? Whatever, but we have a bunch of confused people at an age where, whatever, I don't have to go into that debate, but it causes some very grievous, serious harm, having operations and hormonal influences done at an age where that can never be undone, or never, whatever. It's crazy. To me, it's pretty crazy. But that's a judgment. But what I see is it's trying to break open a paradigm that is rigid. But here is another thing. Now, it's a universal truth that humans come in male and female. If you're trying to break open a universal paradigm, the duality if you're trying to break open duality, you can't break open, this is me preaching now, I believe you can't break open duality. Masculine, feminine, light and dark, that's a duality. You can't break that. That's splitting the atom type of thing. That's like you're going to cause a problem. And they are. But the rigidity of somewhere else, like being homosexual or being in some way non-binary by self-definition, where I don't really identify as male, I don't really identify as female, or I am in a female body but I identify as male, all this spectrum, to it has been, well, kind of, it's had a, it has had a, for the longest time, being gay, being homosexual was criminalized, was homosexuality in the Christian terms. What would the word be I'm looking for? Criminalized, but evil, considered somehow of the devil. Now that, there we go again. You see that what evil it causes, and it causes a lot of pain for people who are in that field where they're not in the field of this is good, this is right, and therefore it is wrong. And so if at some point that wants to break free, and it should break free. It should break into the field where you don't have to identify as anything if you don't want to. I get that. For me, I get that because it's nothing to do with me. What do you want to be called, a tree? Fine for me. I don't mind. If it's my child and suddenly they're a he or a she or something, I might have a harder time. But I know parents who, and they completely accept, and that must be a very new life experience, because I don't think a lot of parents in history of humanity have gone through that. But not in the, I don't know, maybe they have. I don't know how far, what do I know? But the when it again gets hijacked, when that process gets hijacked, now I'm talking about it by financial interests, and then we're really going off the deep end again. But that's a different story. But to break open a paradigm can be a very healthy thing. To change, paradigm shifts are rarely not painful. And here, paradigm shifts always center around universally accepted truths. A paradigm shift, the Christian religion, the Christian church, all of them, or those, let's say Catholicism, is gonna have to, and is already going through a paradigm shift from what it has taught, how it has presented itself, what it has believed for the longest time, which has been, in my estimation, and I'm not alone in this, a complete stark opposite to the teachings of Jesus, the Christ, the opposite of Christ consciousness. Absolutely. I mean, of course, they went that way. They're going to come home and actually embody, or endeavor to embody, be a system that teaches and strives after the embodiment of Christ consciousness, very different to what it does, what it has been doing, what it still does in many parts. Yeah, it will be very different, but that will be the second coming, perhaps, that very religion, or its many fractions, will actually, the ones who aren't, serve the light, but not in terms of splitting its own shadow off of itself, but to incorporate it. Jesus was all about forgiveness. What is forgiveness? Forgiveness is a concept we will no longer need, because forgiveness isn't really there needed when you understand, but I am the one causing everything in my life. And that's controversial. If I am the one in your hand hitting in your fist hitting my face, It's like, why am I doing that to myself? Why would I do that to myself? And that's a very different paradigm to you hurt me. So anyway, and both can coexist absolutely harmoniously on this planet, definitely. In humanity, we don't have to fight each other over paradigms, which one is right. Why have these religions done that? Because they wanted power. Why do they want the power? Because they get your money. Duh. I mean, so simple. It's unfathomable for us how that cannot be seen, how that cannot be understood. But what do we know about ourselves that we have not been taught? You know, when we are, as Bruce Lipton says, I've said it many times, I go with what he says, or I'm just going to quote him. In the age of, and this is also, again, is it an empirical truth? It's Bruce's truth. A lot of us get it, understand it, see it that way. Tomorrow it may change. Rhythmic, allow for change, but for now we can run with it. A child from the age of 0 to 7 is predominantly in, what is it, theta brainwave state, where it's in pure download state. It isn't able to anything. It just downloads everything that's being said. It goes in there, it goes in there, it goes in there, it goes in there. Then it would take the next 7 years and should, and this is where school comes in, and they have to take you before you're 7 if they can. Guess why? Then they still can. But in kindergarten, guess why? Ah, la 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 la. Any case, I know it gets sold us as something else, and that something else isn't not true. It's also true. So, Tatiana, stop the bashing. You're polarizing. There's a complementary relationship of truth. Da 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 da. All truth. Da, 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 da. How do we do be healthy? What am I going? Where am I going? I'm cutting off my own sentence here. I don't know why. I just feel like it right now. Unless it wants to be completed. Does it want to be completed? My stomach says, yes, it does want to be completed. Please stop now. Let's eat. Anyway, so I'm going to stop this now. Bringing myself home to my own healing. And yeah. Wow, this is a really strange space. I'm not going to describe it because it is not relevant to anyone but me. 2 hours. This takes the cake. Am I going to post this? When I start questioning myself, should I listen to this and then do a second recording? A lot of this was gold in here. A lot of it was long because I explained a lot of stuff. Yeah, I'm going to post it. Okay. I don't think anybody listens to the end of this, but if you listen to the end of this, like, I would love to know. I would just love to know. Yo, man. Okay. I wish us a danced full day. May we dance with our truth. May we touch our truths the way our feet touch the floor. The floor beneath us is a universal truth. Gravity is at this time, that's why I was talking about time. Gravity may not always be a universal truth, and it certainly isn't in all dimensions a truth at all, but it is a universal truth for our humanity, for this dimension, for the third dimension. It's a pretty universal truth. Gosh, yeah. I think in the third dimension it is. If it's not, then we are in quantum field. I don't know. But wish us our own individual dance with truth, that it may liberate us, free us, organize us, give us order. May we follow our truth, follow our dream, know what that is, be able to live our truth. There's always much to say about that. Excuse. And maybe yesterday was the overtone earth. We're still in the wave spell. We can and we can't, we shouldn't, we can, but I'm not looking at the truth individually, because there's many times the truth comes around, but no, we're in the wave spell of the skywalker. To skywalk on earth, bring heaven to earth, also to plant the seeds we want, our intentions for the improvement of the earth, for the better of all. I mean, we're not planting any seeds. You know, even the most evil capitalist is planting his seeds because he thinks he will be better in the having of what he wants. But that's his field, not yours, not anyone's. And that's a paradigm shift we're in. That's a major, major, major freeing paradigm shift. And there's nobody out there trying to stop you from making that shift, because everyone out there is playing their game. They're just playing their game. And if you're not playing yours, if I'm not playing mine, if I don't know how to play mine to my own satisfaction, I gotta learn the rules. I can't change the way someone else plays a game. And if someone else disturbs seemingly my game, then I gotta look at that. What have I chosen? What have I planted? Okay, now I'm going on again. I've gone on for 58 days about exactly this. That's what the talking is all about. How does creation work? Effortlessly, flowingly, smoothly, joyfully, harmoniously, artfully, freely, independently, but conjointedly, intelligently, synchronistically, uh, lovingly, firingly, dreamily, intuitively. Oh God, I could just go on. You get my drift. This is where we are. And we're going to work this out. We're going to find out we are doing it, and where we're not, we can tune ourselves. And if we don't want to, we wouldn't be here. So whoever is still here, oh, thank you. Much love to you. Oh.